This is Dr. Wayne Hayde, aka the Watchman, on the 11th of February 2025. And today I want to take aim at the media, in particular at the Express, over a headline they recently published on the 9th of February, in which allegations of obstruction of justice were made against Deputy Commissioner of Police Suzette Martin. And the headline reads, "Senior Cop Accused of Justice Obstruction." But what the article then proceeds to do is to quote a report submitted by a Sergeant Haywood of the TTPS, now Inspector, in 2023, in which he made certain allegations against Ms. Martin, who was then a senior superintendent in the Professional Standards Bureau. But what is interesting is that the cherry-picked parts of his report that appears in the Express does not address the core issue as to whether there was evidence that Ms. Martin committed any crime. And I looked at the entire document, because you know that the police service is now a sieve, so everything you can get. And interestingly, the report, which was written on the 5th of July 2023, is headlined "Alleged Attempts by Senior Officer to Pervert the Course of Justice." Alleged by whom? If Mr. Haywood is alleging, then he should say evidence of or facts in support of an allegation or in support of the crime of perverting the course of justice. But when he say alleged, that means he's alleging on behalf of someone else, or he's alleging that what he's saying is an allegation. What is the facts here? And is an attempt to pervert the course of justice. So was the attempt completed? Is it an inchoate offense where an incompletion is in itself a crime? All these things that you have to look at when you start addressing it. And I looked at the report and I was looking for evidence that would tend to support the crime. And all I saw was suppositions, presumptions, assumptions, conclusions, speculation about the actions or motives of several people that is not supported by any evidence. And that is interesting to me, because Mr. Haywood is not legally trained, as far as I know, meaning he's not a lawyer. And his entire document reads like the chronicles of a bush lawyer, where you throw everything inside there, make gaudy statements about this is a crime, or this is unfair, or this is illegal, without supporting it with clear evidence. What to me was clear in his report was that at several times, on several occasions, he refused to follow the instructions of a senior officer without there being evidence of clear illegality of those instructions. Therefore, to me, that's disobedience of lawful orders. But I'm concerned why Ms. Tate and the Express didn't look further into Mr. Haywood. Why I say that is because he has a history of making such complaints, and they could have seen red flags all over. For example, in 2018, he made an allegation of misconduct against then Deputy Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob to the then sitting acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams. Yeah, he did. And then in 2019, he made an allegation against Mr. Williams of wrongdoing and alleged acts that could be deemed criminal by some. And after he was transferred by the commissioner from one place to another, he took the commissioner to court and lost in 2019. And the judge in part said, I'm not seeing any actual or circumstantial evidence from which someone can make a reasonable conclusion or assumption or presumption of wrongdoing on the part of the commissioner in terms of the transfer. But if you look at that, you will see in the report against Ms. Martin, he quotes evidence or information about his actions with respect to several people, including Mr. Luke Hadid, and is saying that Ms. Martin was somehow obstructing his investigation into that matter, as if all investigations in the service, once it belongs to him. Investigations that we take down from an investigator, give it to another one for many reasons. And that happens all the time. But he refuses to accept that because, as far as he's concerned, some aspect of law means that once he gets an investigation, it becomes his property. And nobody could take it away, or nobody could advise him, or nobody could tell him what to do. And that is nonsense and nonsensical. But why I fault Ms. Tate and the Express is because recently, quite recently, before they submitted that article, which I call a hatchet job, the court ruled on the Hadid matter and determined that Mr. Haywood had used an expired warrant on 5 occasions to illegally search the premises of Mr. Hadid, which means in effect that damages any attempt to address certain things with respect to Mr. Hadid. Now, when you take all that into consideration, you have to wonder, what was the purpose of putting that headline using a report that you don't know whether it is true, and you made no effort to even communicate with some of the parties involved? For example, it is my understanding that the Police Complaints Authority had closed that complaint of Mr. Haywood against Ms. Martin. And you know that the Police Complaints Authority don't like to close reports against police. I'm just teasing them. But did they communicate with the Complaints Authority? Or with the DPP, since the DPP's name is called in there, to see if he gave instructions that Ms. Martin refused to accept, or to do the opposite of what he said? Because I know the DPP a very long time. Long time. Even though I haven't spoken to him in a couple decades like some of my other friends. But I know Mr. Gaspard is not the kind of person to take kindly to people not following his instructions, especially when they are legally given or given with respect to how a case should be managed. I don't believe that. So the question is, why did Ms. Tate do it in this way? And I see that the Guardian took it up, and their own headline is focusing only on Suzette Martin, not on anything else the acting commissioner and the others said in the press briefing about the statistics, the direction of the service. The headline is about Suzette Martin. Why? Because they like bacchanal and they don't always like facts. Because facts are not always sexy. But bacchanal, allegations, you understand? Suppositions, those things make good headlines. Huh. This is sad. I hold no brief from Miss Martin. I don't even know her. But I know the police service, and I love the police service. And I believe in the men and women of the police service. But if we're going about kneecapping, handicapping, or chopping off the heads, figuratively, of course, of the seniors in the service, what is the purpose? The media can do its job, and I expect them to. But this, somebody is wielding a hatchet. And that person may be standing behind Miss Tate, who should now have to explain, maybe to the court when they are sued for defamation by Miss Martin. The Watchman out. Ah, Lord.